Good morning, class. This class video is unscheduled, only added in special consideration for the essay 2, which is basically to sell a 4PL service as a piece of external sales literature to present to a, I guess, imaginary client of yours, which on the presumption it is a bigger company, and that company has implemented KPI. It could be lean manufacturing or Six Sigma, whichever it is. So basically, if your customer does not have a KPI system, obviously you can't sell your KPI-based system. So in the last video, I spent a lot of time on KPI. So by now you should, if you watch that video, you should know how KPI works, right? So in this new video at it, what I want to emphasize is the difference by the service operation type and the knowledge body or the center of expertise supporting such service operations between 3PL and 4PL. So if you don't really know really well about the differences between these two, it would be kind of difficult for you to propose a 4PL service to a potential customer, right? So first, let's talk about the quantified customer. What kind of customer that would actually be the ideal customer for a 4PL service? One, the scale of economy. If this is a small, pop and mom shop, they may not need 4PL because their own, the size of their own business operation, the revenue, the whole thing, does not lend itself to benefit from a good 4PL service, right? A 3PL might, even let's say you just have yourself as a business, you could really use the 3PL because why? You don't either have that time or expertise, and you just let somebody who knows how to do this to help you. 4PL service in the meantime really are going to prove themselves in value to the bigger companies, because those companies typically they have their so-called 1PL in-house. A lot of them came from the 3PL background themselves, right? So they are supposed to know what they do day in, day out. But in the meantime, a lot of them, they can't really do a great 1PL job. So here comes the big and the first question, very important. What is 1PL, right? So if you're a good, I guess, 1PL, you know how to do planning. Why do you need to plan? So in the last video, I talked about all this, procurement and sales. So if you do the planning, basically what is inbound is very much evolved around the procurement activity. So the procurement manager places order with the vendors that the procurement people already screened, vetted, right? And then what they most likely don't have the knowledge is how to do the terms as far as like a ISO term, right? So FOB or DDP, whichever. So how to take advantage. So the better companies doing international business, not only they want to save on the logistic costs, they actually make money, such as GE. They make money out of logistic. So there, if you just have some, I guess, average 3PL guy, jump the fence and flip over to become a 1PL, if they never was part of this planning, they may or may not know how to do this, okay? That's inbound. And then there's outbound. Outbound is basically you work with the salespeople or sales manager, sales VP, whatever, they have to make a promise by certain day of certain month, certain year, their products will be basically delivered to the customer. And once again, this is where not only you can save the money, but also you can make money, add a profit from the logistic part. And I would say this, a lot of American enterprises compared to the international, like Japanese or Chinese or German or Dutch or, the export company uh, located in those export-oriented economies. For instance, you go to Netherlands, right? English everywhere, almost starting from little kids. They speak English. Why? Export is the big thing for the country, right? They're the one actually started the modern society, all this, capitalist stuff, actually from the 1600, from the Dutch people. Ever since then, they have been doing international business with the whole world, or at least at the beginning, they were trying to find China to deal with China. And then a lot of other European companies followed their model and they set up their company called the East Indies Company. So anyway, I'm just saying a lot of countries have their history in the export and import business. Not the Americans. The Americans probably started in the last 20 years or so. But nevertheless, this is where 3PL come in. So more towards, import export. In fact, if you look at how they structure their business operation and their knowledge, you can see that a 3PL company, first they will cut their service operation by import and export, right? They don't say inbound, outbound. Is there a difference? Big difference. Import, export, it's more towards basically the process and the paperwork, right? And then you have the, that's basically import, export. It's a process to cut in between, right? But then both sides, import, export, horizontally, they cut by air, ocean, right? And then either trucking or whatever. But then they also have what? Most importantly, that's all the traditional freight forwarding people do. And 3PL, basically, they give themselves a new hat, and basically some of them, not all of them, evolved from freight forwarder traditional condition. I mean the operation, right? So the baseline, which is basically what custom insurance. So they all have to have some kind of custom, the custom broker licensed people, with a couple of people do not have the license, but work to support them, because custom insurance is a big thing for 3PL, right? So you go into a country, you got to have the entry, import custom declaration, and then export from that country. You got to have the export declaration custom, file with the local or that country's, custom authority. And then you have the what they call re-export, coming into a country and then going out of there. So a lot of things, right? And with, I mentioned in one of the videos, so with the U.S., it's just getting more and more complicated by the day. In my days when I first started in this country, I could be a custom, broker if I wanted. Just get two guys to vouch for me. Yeah, Mr. Whaley knows everything he needs to know. That was custom, broker for you back in the U.S., in my days. And today, anyway, it's export control. Very, very important. Of course, there's some import things too. So that's 3PL for you, right? And then we talk about the insurance. Yeah, they have to cover that too, right? So lots of paperwork. seriously, this is how 3PO typically make their money. They put three guys or three people working on five jobs. Okay, so they make a little margin there for the pay. And what I want to mention, okay, a lot of them, I don't necessarily have any further education beyond high school, okay? And that's also true with even within steamship lines, okay? Because basically, all you need, this kind of people, they just basically, one, the skill set, very high. You know, I mean, if you try to get in there and compete against them, against their, let's say, 10, 20 years experience, and you're just like 3-6 months on the job, the work efficiency is where you're gonna fail to compete against them. But it doesn't take more than 6 months to get someone trained and be able to, work skillfully inside, into the process, the work process at a 3PL. And then let's look at the 4PL. Okay, first of all, 4PL manage 3PL. So a lot of people don't know, think, oh, are they gonna compete? No, they don't. 4PL manage 3PL. And let's see how, in essence, a 4PL, a good one, work. Because if you don't see this, characteristics, then it's not a real 4PL. Okay, 4PL, at least you have the two part, but it's not about import export. One is what they call the home support team, where they have the institutionalized knowledge and SOP and the resource to support, and they are actually sitting on a chain of command. Okay, they will dispatch the truck and whatever else, right? And a good 4PL, they actually have a somewhat okay chartering person to handle charter parties. 3PO may or may not have, unless we're talking about those like 100,000 employee big ones. They do have such qualified chartering folks. In fact, we're only in Houston. Houston is the capital of project cargo of the world. Basically, all the big 3PLs have their project cargo division HQ here in Houston, right? And by my experience, the best 3PLs in this part of the world in business are typically German. Okay, I can give you the top 4. They're actually top 8. Every time I did the procurement, the RFP, I would call 8 of them, right? And I have the one that I think is the top, but I'm not going to give names here. If you ask me privately, I will give you my opinion, but we're in this video release into the public, so I am not going to give the name. But anyway, that I want to tell you one thing though. The best ones are the German for project cargo division. They have the tradition, they have the knowledge. So not all 3PLs are created equal. There's some way better than others, and that's why we need the procurement that I talked about before. But still, 3PL is not 4PL, right? So I was talking about you have this home support team that has the SOP, has the chain of command, has the, basically in every segmented sub category of transportation mode specific expertise, right? So these guys are supposed to know somehow trucks but here's the big difference. At 3PL, you are the one person. If you have been doing import ocean for 20 years and they never flip you around, you really don't know anything else. That's the only thing you know. But hey, that's the only thing you need to know. That's the only thing they expect you to be the subject matter of, experts. Whereas 4PL, you may not know shit, coming in. You don't. But you fit into the process. You just do what, you're supposed to do, and with even less time training. The personal, I guess, experience, intuitively accumulated, does not really play a big role. on a job within the 4PL process. Why? Because it's institutionalized knowledge as versus 3PL, like what I call fragmented knowledge, right? So if this 3PL service operation, one person, 20 years experience, let's say export air, just quit the job, become the 1PL let's say EPC company. What happened to this part of the 3PL? Unless you find someone had similar job experience, that part of the job will fall apart. You will see more inaccuracy, the lower work efficiency. Why? The knowledge flip flip the board, flip over to the other side of the fence, and you've got to find someone who basically have more experience, like the last one. Whereas 4PL, people could come in and go. It doesn't matter. It's kind of like the way, supposedly, theoretically, excuse me, I didn't have breakfast, but I don't know why. I don't believe it's COVID-19. I didn't go outside. So anyway, the 4PL is a process, okay? The individual, of course, it'd be nice to have people who have the related degree and the experience, but I don't want to get too much into it. But you see people come in and go, okay? Does it really produce that kind of impact similar as the 3PL case that I just mentioned? Not really. So theoretically, this is more working like the ILS, Integrated Logistics System, which is U.S. military, I think invented or started to develop in late 1980s to 90s and implemented. The beauty, I don't know how really it works, but the beauty of this system in theory is it doesn't matter, John, Jack, Mary, Joe, whoever come in and go out, because they serve in the military 3 years, 4 years, depends on which service branch you're in, right? So everybody, not everybody, but almost everybody eventually has a title specialist. I think that's also where in logistics today we don't call we call the logisticians specialists today too. So the specialists came in, right? They took their training and they accumulated certain working knowledge, and basically they just stick into the process and started working, and then boom, 3 or 4 years up, if they don't renew their service contract, they went back home, right? So you have a new guy, new recruit or new lady coming. So what's the difference here? You have the institutionalized knowledge at work, and it's a process. That's the beauty of it. You come in and go, that's okay. That's okay, right? So now we know 4PL, 3PL, big difference, right? As far as the service operation. And then another big part, differentiate 3PL from 4PL. 3PL basically transparent knowledge, right? Paperwork? Sure, man. I can work for a bank, or I can work for, supposedly if the bank does, a bank does some kind of import-export business. I don't know if they do, but maybe that's a bad example. But forget a bank. Let's say a manufacturing company in air conditioning, okay, products. And the same 3PL can take this experience and then sign up on another contract making fajitas. It's the same thing, right? 4PL cannot do that. Why? Because 3PL is detached from its customer. It's offering the service in general public and basically provide the service that the 1PL either doesn't know how to do or doesn't have time to do it, or simply they just have too much money, right? When I was a logistics manager, I never used 3PL. I don't need them. but you don't find too many logistics managers in America actually can work as a logistics manager without leaning towards a 3PL. So anyway, back to the point. So 4PL is integrated into the customer or the one, whoever hired them, right? And in function, they are 1PL. So inbound, outbound, they work side by side with the procurement managers, the sales managers. While I was the 4PL manager at a bigger manufacturing company, every week I went to attend the sales meeting to provide the quote because they want to land their sales contract, in the job bidding environment. So at any given time, that sales force basically is a global one, had about 200 targets or contract opportunities. So I was the one to provide the logistic cost. Remember what I said, they expect not only you have the saving produced, you actually make money. And here's the thing, you can sell this contract attached with the logistic cost, right, in ISO term. So your customer do not make any logistic arrangement. They just sit there and wait for you to deliver, all the way to their job site or whatever the destination is. So being the 4PL, you start the planning for logistic from, the point A all the way cover to the point Z. 3PL never do that. If they don't do that, and by contract obligations, they're not supposed to, they're not expected to do, where did they get that kind of expertise? They never had experience. They ain't got no expertise in that, right? So that's 4PL for you. But then here comes one more, I guess, the differentiator, right? 4PL, a good one, the real 4PL, they work with the KPIs, right? So instead of just talking about, oh, I saved you freight, cost, this and that, okay, they add up to the dollars. That's 3PL for you. 4PL, it's not just the freight cost, that you can save. You got to look at all this impact of the insufficient logistic operations, okay? So that could be operational revenue loss. That could be the inventory cost that more than necessary, okay? So there's a lot of optimization. And this is really well integrated service operation at much higher strategic level to look at the big pictures. This is the new chain of command, and 4PL sit on top of the chain of command. And then you see 3PL, you see 2PL. So 4PL managed them to do what? Remember, I in a video I said I was a logistic manager, but I got a transportation manager and warehousing manager working under me. Why? I was to make sure overall the integrated logistic related, economics make the corporate sense on the book. Okay, so there will always be KPIs. Okay, like I don't care how good you did last year, and this year you need to do, let's say, 5% marginally better, and next year will be 5% better than this year. Just keep going, keep driving. It's a nose diving. Okay, so there is the 4PL for you, right? So how does 4PL make money? We talked about 3PL, right? They basically, 4PL is to offer the entire process and offer the tactic objective and the KPI to measure the performance, towards the tactic objective set forth and from day one. So everything is measured, right? You can't just do a sales pitch, BS your boss or your customer, say, hey, we did a whole lot better, right? Like O'Donnell say, oh, this is so much better. Data, stupid. Where's the data? You tell me it's good or bad, I don't care. Let me read the data. I'm educated. Well, if you're 4PL, right? You show your data. 3PL, in the meantime, remember we said about the education, right? 4PL, you got to have at least one undergraduate degree, right? 4PL, you don't. So you're used to, for 20, 30, 40 years, used to the intuitively, accumulated experience, and have that, and basically what you offer as basically on the fly patching solution, whatever, you react. 4PL is proactively, okay, identify the risk and offer the risk mitigation measures, field proven, right? And then measure that with the KPI to see how well it is working or it's not working. At the end of the day, it's a process, okay? With the strategic vision, the roadmap, the KPI to measure the objectives that have been fulfilled to whatever degree, of success that is measured. You see the difference between the two, right? So if you're a big company, already have this Six Sigma or lean manufacturing implemented, that will be the thinking of your customer. Okay, don't talk about the freight saving. I want you to offer me the better operational efficiency and economic efficiency, with your work overall in an integrated process. So that's 4PL for you, right? And then we also talked about the way they make money. People are in the business for business. They need to stay afloat. They save money for you, but they don't have any revenue to pay for their own employees. How's that going to work? Of course, so they have to make the money. So 3PL, I already talked about it. It's basically you put the, 3 folks working on 5 jobs, and there's the margin, profit margin for you. And the problem is getting so severely cutthroat, competition out there. So many 3PLs, right? And so little, I guess, business for 3PL. So you got to be better. So where do you show that you're better when everybody's doing exactly the same thing? 4PL is not the same thing. 4PL, because it's more specialized, right? So I mentioned millions of times that in oil, gas, chemical industry, there is no qualified 4PL. So competition, there's no one out there, right? And of course, oil business is ideal for 4PL. Why is that? Because the scale of economy. This folks, one capital project, you're talking about billions of dollars, right? Per contract develop or redevelop or, expand. So for that kind of scale of economy, you can easily produce your effect, okay? As a 4PL, if you know how to do it. Today, I've done many procurement, screening and vetting. Nobody today, even all those top 3PLs, they don't have any idea what a 4PL is or should be, okay? So anyway, back to the point. If you were to be the first 4PL, okay, and you are going to offer this service, it doesn't have to be an oil business. It could be an energy business. It could be a mining, or heavy manufacturing, whatever. Basically, the criteria here to fit for a good, client portfolio for a 4PL service, they got a scale of the economy, they got a KPI already established, and they know, their own in-house 1PL either significantly understaffed, so they don't have enough good hands to place, on the jobs, or those 1PL are good at something else other than their own job, okay? So when you have all these 3, that's the ideal target. You want to submit your proposal of 4PL, and you can talk to them in business sense, right? The beauty about American system, you don't need any reference of someone who knows someone. Make the call, make the appointment, go in and present your compelling case, and the other guy like, wow, that makes sense, doesn't it? Let's talk more in detail. and let's see, what you can do for us. And we're gonna tell you this is where we are. This is our KPI on this, on that, on this, on that. How are you gonna propose it to work to basically either to reduce the cost or elevate our work efficiency? But either way, at the end of the day, at the end of the process, you show some financial impact positive. And that's how 4PL works. So if you, as this SA2, propose a 4PL service, the video I added today is to tell you who are you looking for and how do you talk to them and where do you differentiate yourself between 4PL and 3PL, which is basically a lot of companies are confused. What 4PL? You need to educate them. So this basically amounts to the part about how to propose a 4PL service. Basically you have to know where and how 4PL service actually is needed, that 3PL service does not cover. You're not replacing 3PL. You're going to point out where 3PL is falling short, and you're the guy falling in basically to cover all that, right? You see the potholes, and your customer may already saw it or may not. I'll give you an example because, hey, in the past number of years, I have been in the oil business. So the example I give you is going to be oil. One problem, all oil companies feeling the pinch, is that when they have a contract, again, I'm talking about the upstream sector, okay? When they have a contract, they award the contract to the EPCs, right? So on a project, they may have more than one EPC awarded. Each one subcontract a different, or 3PL. So a lot of time you see on the same little teeny tiny construction site, they allocated space for 2 or 3 or even more 3PLs. At one project, I'm not going to name the company or the location, 7 3PLs working on the same site. If you don't have 4PL, right, sit on top of the chain of command to coordinate, in between these actions, there's going to be a lot of chaos. Why? Because nobody having this big picture. There's no operational transparency, throughout the entire process. 7 3PLs basically working their 7 little silos. They're working against each other, getting in the way of each other, and they create chaos without the, having the intention to do so. So that's a very obvious case that oversimplified, for existence of 4PL, but that's not 4PL. That's probably less than the 1% of the function of 4PL. But it's a very, I guess, convincing point there, right? As an analogy. So now let's review a little bit. 4PL, once again, sit on top of the chain of a command, holding the big picture, checking on the operational, transparency of the process. So managing 3PLs and 2PLs, starting from the planning to the execution, right? Does 3PL do execution? Yes, 3PL does, but it's not as, full life cycle span as 4PL does. Once again, 4PL is on this level, 3PL is here, and 2PL is here. Why? 2PL basically, you give me a contract, I do the contract. I pick up things from point A and drop at point B. That's my contract. I did a perfect job. Does that help you to do the whole thing? No. So 3PL come in to coordinate with the shipper where the trucking company pick up the job, right? And then also coordinate with the receiver or the consignee in this case. Does that mean trucking company don't contact? Yes, they do, but they don't care about the schedule. So 3PO basically coordinate, hey, what's your ERP ship date? Okay, this day. And then a couple of days later, call back again. Is there any update on the ship date? Oh, yes. I'm glad you called. 3PL does that, right? Good 3PL. Lots of 3PL, the traditional freight forwarder. They don't even do that. This is what's called customer service at 3PL. They do that, okay? Coordination. But 4PL, you have a project management. If you work with, I think the most common one for old folks, Microsoft project management, you have action items allocated to all the parties, right? So if you're 4PL, a good one, the 3PL, 2PL, whoever else, basically you allocate them with the action items on the calendar, and you check on the calendar, okay? So that's what I used to, well, not myself personally, but the folks working for me on my team, regularly they had the conference, checking on everybody, their status. Okay, so where are we? Your action item of this and that, where are you on that? If you are not exactly where you're supposed to be, what's the reason? What's the challenge? Do you have a solution to that? Stuff like that. So that's 4PL. Is it simple? Is it easy? Maybe. On the individual level, yes, but there has to be someone design the entire process, okay, and also have the center of expertise or knowledge body, whatever you call it, to support all that, right? So the trucking company in this case will, of course, in the U.S. we use a lot of trucks. In Europe we use barge, but the same thing. It's just transportation mode differences. So anyway, so your chain of command here, basically did the preparation and the checking. Wait, what's checking again? Here in America, we have the OSHA, safety and all that, right? It's a big deal for a lot of big companies because they cannot afford the lawsuit. So if you're good for PL, that's another KPI set right there for you. You got to check on all this trucking, barge, steamship line, pretend like they don't have their own safety procedure, SOP. You check on them. Well, is it all, just repetitive? Not really. I actually caused several times people didn't do the job right. So you check. The whole point, reduce the chances of the risks that you identified, right? So that's one part of the mitigating of certain risks. You check on them, right? And sometimes it becomes almost ridiculous. So when you pick up the phone and call the heavy lift company and the heavy haul trucking company, you check on them, and they try to be polite, but you can hear them saying in the background, "What the heck? This is what we do, not what you do, and you're checking on me." I'm sorry, you just have to. You have to check on them. Okay, so that safety thing, you already made sure, right? So this is a long haul. You got two drivers, not one. Hey, you're just saying the obvious. Everybody knows that. And then you go, what about this, license for the movement of this heavy lift? You already got the license, right? Oh, yes, we do. So you did the route survey? Yeah, we're not gonna do it right away because anything could change. If we do it now, in the next 2 months before the actual movement, the road condition can be changed because the project here, project there. Do they have a point? Yes, they do. Do you want to say, oh, you need to do route survey? And they're like, okay, so are you gonna pay for two? Basically, 4PL, you gotta do what you gotta do, but you know how to do. Okay, because you don't want to piss off those guys being managed by you because you're 4PL. So what is 4PL? In the eyes of all those 3PL, 2PLs out there, or in the eyes of the seller to your customer, in the eyes of the customer to your customer, which is the buyer of the products of your customer, you are the 1PL. There's no need for you to even bring up every time, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not the logistic manager for this company. I am a 4PL manager for this company. So we are contractors. There's no need for that. You just act like a 1PL. when you are insourced, you take over the 1PO people of that company, of your customer. They don't have to do nothing. Sit there, get fat. I'm just exaggerating, but seriously, they don't do nothing. They're not even supposed to interfere with your process, because if they do, what happens? You sue them. It's called co-employment. I do what I do under my contract. You go enjoy your coffee, okay? I like to dramatize a little bit. Hopefully you find this video funny. Otherwise, you're going to be bored to sleep, right? So anyway, I think we have covered all that. And if you still have question, I don't know, maybe tomorrow we can discuss. So remember what I said was 4 days grace period from the deadline, which is supposed to be tomorrow or today. 20th. What is today? I lost track. So 20th was, the originally said deadline, but with the 4 days in the grace period that extend all the way to the 24th. So I want you to watch this video, okay? And if you do have question, contact the coordinators. You got there too, right? And if I receive your questions through them, tomorrow, Tuesday, right? The class time, we'll still have that Q&A session. But if I don't see any questions that I'm going to presume you guys know everything already, that is, need to know for the SA2 purpose, then no more session tomorrow, okay? I'll leave all that time for you to do whatever you got to do, right? But just remember, this essay takes 25% of the entire grading. You better do it. Good job, okay? This is the only one 100% testing on the knowledge you acquired from my class. Okay, that's more than just fair. I'm really supposed to test everything you learned from this class, but this is the part. It's not a small part, it's 25%, so you better do a good job. If you don't understand and you turn in the wrong thing, you know what the grade would say, right? I'm not threatening you, I'm not scaring you, I'm just trying to get you to do your job, to learn. And this part, I'm promising you, you will not learn anywhere else on earth. No school teach this, let alone, the other classes in this program or the other one at the other business school. So this is something you're going to walk away really, nicely, very unique knowledge. And I believe this is the way the industry is going. Because personally, I already got, big 3PL coming to me to consult on how to become 4PL. And they are, $30 billion revenue company. Okay? So, you want to know this. And you're just lucky you have this class basically telling you how exactly works with all the insight. So, I'm going to test you on that. Why? Because I give you the fair chance, I teach you, and I give you the time to raise your question. If you don't have no question, that's the presumption you know everything there is to know about it on this subject. And hey, it's only 2 pages, right? So how do you lay out in these 2 pages? Basically, once again, I don't care about the format, but you better just deliver very effectively your point, right? The subject is this, right? And so your stance is this. You're claiming this and that. So you got to build this claim with the supporting part, whatever, lets you to make this statement there, make it convincing. And then you arrive at, basically what is the stuff you're offering the potential client. Better do a good job, okay? Because I don't want the students out of this class just go with whatever. I want you to be proud, okay? And this test process is not the end. It's a means. So remember they say justify means. Actually, I'm more interested in the means in this case. I don't really care for that part, as far as the end. But I'm sure you do, right? And I do too. Seriously, I don't want my students have the bad GPA and, have the impact on their job hunting. This is why I added this new video, and this is why I keep asking everybody, do you have a question? Do you have a question? But just one thing, I want to make sure you all understand. I don't do any negotiation. Once the grade is done, it's done. Do not come back to me and say, oh, my grade, blah, blah, blah. You have all the time, all the fair chances, all the opportunities. If you never took any action upon that, and then you come back later to me and say, oh, this is not fair. Really? I'm going to tell you, I have everything black and white to cover this part. I will prove to whoever it is stepping in, I will prove to that, whatever party, this is fair. Okay? So, until then, ciao.